Hey there. I want to show you something you've probably never been told, but once you hear it, you'll start seeing your entire career and your income differently. Here it is. You've never been paid based on your potential. You've only been paid based on what you were willing to ask for and what someone else thought they could get away with. That's it. If you think your current salary is a reflection of your worth, it's not. It's just a reflection of your past positioning. And the reason that number hasn't changed, well, it isn't because you aren't good enough. Of course you are. It's because you're still using an old belief system built by a younger version of you who was just trying to survive. Every professional we've ever worked with has a money ceiling. You can't always see it, but you feel it when you apply to a role that pays more than you've ever made. You feel it when you see the salary range and immediately think, yeah, but I'm probably not on the high end. That ceiling didn't come from facts, though. It came from repetition. Money beliefs are formed the same way habits are. You experience something emotional early in your career, like maybe you were told you were too aggressive for negotiating, or maybe you asked for a raise and then you got denied. Maybe your immigrant parents told you just to be grateful you had a job. I get it. But whatever it was, it created a feeling, maybe shame or embarrassment or fear. And your brain locked into that feeling. It said, don't do that again. That's dangerous. So now, what do? You avoid risk. You downplay your wins. You call it being realistic, but it's really just a trauma-informed salary cap. And no matter how much experience you gain, you still make decisions based on a version of you that was just trying to survive. And you've grown, you've evolved, you've taken hits and kept going. You've delivered results, you've led people, you've moved through challenges most people would have quit over. But the money hasn't caught up because the belief hasn't. And here's the problem with that. If you don't believe you belong in a $200,000 role, you won't position yourself for one. You won't even apply to the right roles. You'll underplay your wins. You'll doubt yourself mid-interview. You'll sabotage your own value. And you probably won't even realize it. And then what happens? You prove the belief right. Not because it was true, but because you acted as if it was. That's what limiting beliefs do. They don't just live in your head. They stop you from having a better life. Let me give you proof that your money ceiling is absolutely fake. Think about someone you've worked with who made more than you, but you knew they weren't smarter. They weren't sharper. They didn't have the same leadership presence. They didn't even carry half the load you did. They weren't better. They were just better positioned. And they expected to be paid more, so they were. See how that works? We've had clients who went from $95,000 to $175,000 in 90 days, $40,000 raises without changing industries, got director roles without managing a single person in their last title. Again, not because they became better, but because they stopped apologizing for their value. What changed wasn't their resume. What changed was the belief they were allowed to be seen differently. Here's one example I will never forget. We had a client who hadn't broken $100,000 in 12 years. She had no advanced degree, no fancy title. She carried entire departments and still felt lucky to be here. She had the impact of a director, but the confidence of someone trying to keep their head down and stay out of the way. And that internal gap, it cost her so much year after year. In 94 days, she accepted a $178,000 offer. Not because she changed who she was, but because she finally saw what she was already doing through a different lens and started acting like it was worth being paid for. Here's why this matters. Your brain is wired to protect what it believes. The reticular activating system, which is your brain's filter, only lets in what it thinks is relevant. So if you've unconsciously decided you're a $115,000 person, your brain will ignore or reject anything that doesn't match that story, and it will seek evidence to prove that's true. You'll scroll past job posts that pay $170,000. You'll rule yourself out before you even apply. You'll downplay your wins even when they're exactly what companies are looking for. Not because they're out of reach, but because your brain's filter is running old programming, and if you don't update that internal standard, you will unconsciously stay underpaid, overlooked, and underestimated by everyone, including yourself. Now, maybe you're thinking, okay, but my background's messy. I've got a gap. I'm not a great negotiator. I've been overlooked for years. I get it. But let me say this as clearly as I can. That's not what's stopping you. What's stopping you is the belief that your resume tells the whole story. What's stopping you is the belief that you have to wait to be chosen, that you can't reposition until you get the offer. But that's actually backwards. The market doesn't pay you for your past. It pays you for the way you position your value now. That's the work we do. We don't just slap keywords on a resume. We rebuild how people see you. We translate the invisible value you've been carrying for years into clear strategic positioning that gets paid. It's not smoke and mirrors. It's science, structure, and precision. And it works fast. Let me ask you a hard question. Do you actually believe you belong at the next level? Or are you waiting for someone else to validate that for you? Because if you're still waiting, that might be exactly why you're stuck. And once you fix that, once you see yourself differently, you'll wonder why you spent so long apologizing for your value. I'm not here to motivate you. I'm not here to give you hope. I'm here to tell you the truth. You've already earned your next level. You just haven't positioned yourself like you belong there. So if you've been underpaid for years, if you know you're capable of more but don't know how to make the leap, if you've been telling yourself, I just need one shot, this is it. The ceiling you've been living under, it's not real. It was built from fear, repetition, and playing small, and it crumbles the second you decide to outgrow it. The only question now is, are you ready to stop negotiating with your own potential? Or are you going to keep waiting for someone else to give you permission?